Hey everybody! So we're continuing along with our season previews for the upcoming NHL season, and today we're going to talk about the New Jersey Devils. Before we get into the video, I just quickly want to say that if you're not yet a subscriber to this channel, please hit that subscribe button and follow along for all the great hockey content. And if you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the like button because that really helps out the channel a lot. So the New Jersey Devils, they did not have a good season last year. Were a bottom of the Eastern Conference type team. Really struggled, but they got the first overall pick in this past year's draft where they drafted Jack Hughes. They made a huge splash in the offseason in a trade with Nashville, bringing in PK Subban to bolster that defense core. They're overall a very young team, a very good up-and-coming team with a lot of young, high-end talented players. And this is a team that I think, looking at the moves that they've made, bringing in Subban, drafting Hughes, bringing in Wayne Simmonds, this is a team that people are looking at now and thinking that they can compete in the Metropolitan Division, and they could very easily be a playoff team this year. So let's take a look at the lineup here. Now, these lines are fluid to begin with, but with New Jersey in particular in this lineup, I think we could see a lot of up and down movement throughout the year as far as who plays where. So don't take these lines like they're carved in stone, because things will move around and things will change, and that's very much a possibility. I also think there's going to be a decent amount of competition for roster spots in training camp, because there are some guys not listed here who I think could compete for spots on the roster who played significant time up with New Jersey last season, but are currently not slated to be in the starting roster. Guys like Joseph Anderson, Michael McLeod, Kevin Rooney, and maybe some others. So, top line, Taylor Hall, Nico Hischier, and Kyle Palmieri. Obviously, huge potential with that top line. Hischier was the first overall pick in the 2017 draft. He's 20 years old now, been in the league for a couple of years. It's time for him to really take over as that top tier first line center for this team. And then he's playing with two great goal scorers in Taylor Hall, who easily could be a 35-goal guy this year if he stays healthy, and Kyle Palmieri, who's easily a 25 to 30-goal scorer year in and year out. So there's a lot of potential for scoring on that top line. Second line, Nikita Gusev coming over from Vegas. Looks like he's finally gonna get a chance at some NHL action here. Jack Hughes, the first overall pick in this year's draft. He's probably going to get a shot to play top 6 NHL minutes right away. And with someone as talented as him, I think he's going to be able to do it. And then Wayne Simmonds coming over from the Philadelphia Flyers, then spent the second half of last year with Nashville, didn't stick in Nashville, and is going to New Jersey now in free agency on a 1-year deal. Simmonds, the offense has certainly dropped off over the past couple of seasons. He's not putting up the goals that he was, say 4, 5, 6 years ago. He's definitely on the downward decline a little bit. But he's a good veteran guy, very, very tough. Obviously willing to fight. I think we all know how tough Wayne Simmonds is. He's a good veteran guy to have in a overall young lineup like this, who I think is going to play an important role in mentoring these younger players, and protecting these younger players. If a guy like Hischier or Hughes or anyone else is being abused physically, Wayne Simmonds is going to be a guy who's going to step in there and do something about it. And I think he's going to play a big role in protecting the star players on this team. Third line, you have Blake Coleman, Travis Zajac, and Jesper Bratt. Pretty good third line there, and definitely a third line that could give you some solid secondary offense. Those are some guys that can score goals. Coleman was a 20-goal scorer last year. Jesper Bratt, I think if he plays the whole season and is a regular in the lineup, could be a 20-goal guy. Certainly could be a 50-point or 40-point guy as a third liner, without a doubt. I think this team should be able to score next year. And then the fourth line, you have Miles Wood, who I really like a lot. I'm a huge Miles Wood fan. Pavel Zacha, who currently is an RFA, does not have a contract yet, but New Jersey's not in any sort of cap situation or tight on money anywhere near where Pavel Zacha as a fourth line guy would have any trouble getting a contract. So it's just a matter of time before a deal gets done with Zacha, and he'll be in the lineup on that fourth line. And then I have John Hayden playing the right side, coming over from the Chicago Blackhawks in that trade involving John Quenneville going to Chicago. So overall, I like this forward group a lot. I think there's a good amount of offense there. They can score goals. Obviously, a lot is resting on two very young centers in Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes. And if those guys are still too young and not ready yet, then I think we could see New Jersey possibly struggle this year. If those two are ready and they can play top 6 minutes and put up top 6 points, this is going to be a very scary offensive team in the Eastern Conference. And this is going to be a team that I think could surprise a lot of people with just how good they are this year, if those two can produce at that level. Moving on to the defense, we obviously PK Subban, that was a massive, massive move for New Jersey to bring him over. We'll say, Sammy Vatanen, he'll probably play some with Will Butcher. He'll also play with Sammy Vatanen, and I think that would be a lethal top pair offensively with Subban and Vatanen back there. Two guys who definitely can put up points when they're healthy. And then the second pair, Will Butcher and Damon Severson. Pretty solid pair there. Severson feels like he's been around a long time, but he's still only 25 years old. Butcher, 24 years old, really coming into his own at the NHL level. Just got a nice new contract. I would expect decent offensive output from those two as well. And that leaves Andy Green, the captain, and one of the biggest veterans on the team at 36 years old. On the bottom pair with Connor Carrick. Defensively, this isn't a defense core that is going to blow you out of the water. It's not Nashville's. It's not. It used to be Winnipeg that was right up there. It's not Tampa Bay's. It's not one of those elite defense cores in the NHL, but it's not a bad one either. And I think overall this is a very good defense core from top to bottom. And then in goal, now this is the biggest question I have with this team, is their goaltending. Goaltending could be the one thing that makes or breaks the entire season for the New Jersey Devils. Corey Schneider has been struggling mightily with injuries the last few years. Was not good at all last year when he returned. Played 26 games, had a goals against average over 3. Really did not look like the Corey Schneider of old at all. A lot is going to be resting on, can this team get solid goaltending? They could not get anyone to play goal very well for them last year, and that's one of the biggest reasons they were such a near the bottom of the league team, because they just could not get anyone to play solid goaltending. And that's a big question mark heading into this year with the duo of Schneider and Mackenzie Blackwood. Blackwood's only 22 years old. He played pretty well in 23 games for them last year, but he only played 23 games. We don't know what he would look like over the course of a full season. And Corey Schneider, the injuries are just piling up, and it's lower body problems, it's hip problems, and that's never a good sign for a goaltender. And we just don't know what we're going to get out of this goaltending duo. If these two can stop the puck, or at least one of them emerges as a high-level NHL starter and can stop the puck consistently, again, this could be a very, very good team. if they can't get goaltending, it's not going to matter how many goals they score. It's not going to matter how good this defense is. If they can't get any semblance of decent goaltending, that division is just too difficult. They're still going to be near the bottom of the division again this year if no one can stop the puck. As far as extra players, there's the potential for quite a few with this team. Jesper Boquist is a guy that I think could potentially get a look at the NHL level. Young player, only 20 years old. Brett Seney played a lot at the NHL level last season. The team wasn't very good, but he played 51 games for them last year. Mirko Mueller is their seventh defenseman right now. And then they have a prospect, Ty Smith, 19-year-old left shot defenseman that I think could potentially get a look at the NHL level. We'll see what he looks like in the preseason and in training camp, but he could potentially get a look at the NHL level. And they have a bunch of guys down in the minors with some, at least a little bit of NHL experience. Guys who could potentially move up if there were injury issues or they just had a good preseason, were able to take a roster spot. Michael McLeod, Joseph Anderson, Kevin Rooney, Nathan Bastian played a little bit at the NHL level last year. On defense, guys like Brian Straight has NHL experience. Matt Tennyson played a few games last year. There's still plenty of competition with this team. This roster certainly is not set in stone, but overall, I think this is most likely what you're going to see for a roster, at least at the beginning of the season this year. So overall, for the Devils, I think it's kind of a crapshoot with what they're going to be this year. They were a last place team last year, but they've made some big moves, both through the draft and with trading for PK Subban. Goaltending, I think, is the biggest question mark and could make or break their entire season. This is a team that if everything were to go well, and I could see right up there pulling kind of a similar move to what the New York Islanders did last year, where they weren't expected to be very good and they ended up finishing second in the division and having an incredibly good season. I think New Jersey could possibly pull a move like that off this year and finish second or third in the Metro Division if everything goes well. If they have injury problems or they don't get goaltending or they don't have Heischer and Hughes aren't ready for that level of production down the middle yet, then you could once again see New Jersey right back where they were last year, near the bottom of the Metro Division. So I think this season could go either way for the Devils. It's really hard to tell. The talent is certainly there. I think it's just about putting it all together, staying healthy, and making sure that all the pieces of the puzzle come together the right way, because this team has a lot of potential, but nothing is guaranteed, that's for sure, especially in a division as difficult as the Metro. So those are my thoughts on the New Jersey Devils. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.